Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, gentlemen, I think all of you will be okay. This is your second lecture of your course for system protection. In this particular, we have to define some basic relay terminologies. Now, gentlemen, why we define these terminology, particularly in the power system protection? Because we see these terminology or these definitions are only related to power system protection. You will not find or you will not study these things in any other course. Like for example, voltage. So there is no definition of defining the voltage. You already define in your even in your FAC and your matrix. So nothing to define about voltage, about current, about frequency, about all these things. But power system engineering is a special terminology. These terminologies must be understood before taking this course. Okay, so now coming as you see on the slide, a protective relay. A protective relay is an automatic device which detects an abnormal condition in an electric circuit and causes a circuit breaker to isolate the fault element of the system. In some cases, it may give an alarm or visible indication to alert operation. Okay, now, gentlemen, basically we have defined already in your first lectures different type of relays. That is overcurrent relay, distance relay, differential relays. So the basic function of the relay is to actuate a system which we normally call actuate a component we normally call a circuit breaker, and under the guidance of this relay the circuit breaker opens contact and remove the faulty part of the system from the rest of the system. So this is basically relay. Since relay is the main core subject of your course, therefore it will be detailed, it will be covered in more detail. Now then we come to the operating force or torque. A force or a torque which tend to close the contact of a relay. Very simple. It's normally called operating force or operating torque because force and torque are convertible to each other. When there is force, there will be torque. If there is no force, there will be no torque. Right? A restraining force or torque. A force which opposes the operating force or torque. So we have now two forces. Right? Number one is operating force or torque and one is restraining force. For example, you have to open a door. So you apply operating force to open the door. But there are some restraining force depending upon the friction or the weight of that particular door which opposes your operating force. If your operating force exceeds the restraining force, then the door will be open. The same thing apply here. If the operating forces are operating torques are more than the restraining forces or torque, then the relay will operate, otherwise it will not operate. Okay. Now pickup level. This is very important. This is very important. This is very important. The threshold value of the actuating quantity, current or voltage, above which the relay operates. Now, this is called a pickup value of the relay or pickup of relay, or it is also sometimes called preset value of the relay. Let's say, for example, if we have current operated relay and if the pickup level of that relay is 5 ampere, then the relay will operate when the current just exceeds 5 ampere. Below 5 ampere, it will not operate. So this is the pickup level of a particular. This is normally used practically this terminology pickup level of a relay. The threshold value of the actuating quantity, current or voltage, below which the relay is de-energized and returned to its normal position or state. Consider a situation where relay has closed its contact when the actuating current is still flowing. Now, due to some reason, the abnormal condition is over, the current starts decreasing. At some maximum value of the current, the contact will start opening This condition is called reset or dropout. The maximum value of actuating quantity below which the contacts are open is called the reset or dropout value. Gentlemen, I have defined these definition for you. You just look at these slides. When we have a meeting with you, you just have, if any point is not clear to you, you can clarify yourself. You can raise the question. I'll explain then in more detail what you need actually. Okay, G. Yeah, this is important. Operating time. It is the time which elapses from the instant at which the actuating quantity exceeds the relay pickup value to the instant at which the relay closes its contact. Now, gentlemen, this figure shows we have three boxes. One is CTPT, relay closing time, and then of course we have when you have the CB operating time. Now you see CT and PT are the first line transducer which take the pickup the actual fault condition or any other abnormal condition of the system, and it's just supplied to the relay. Then the relay closes contact when of course the current is more than the pickup value as we defined already the pickup value, and then it gives a signal to the circuit breaker to open its contact. Actually it is the circuit breaker which actually open the circuit. So now all these things require some time to operate. Let's say for example CT and PT, when it take the value or the current value, it takes some time, then it just give information to the relay, and then the relay closes contacts. We have mechanical movement in the relay contact those also. Any mechanical movement requires some time, and then of course the circuit breaker is also a mechanical device, and when the contacts are open, of course it takes some time. So this total time is called the operating time of the relay or the operating time of the circuit breaker. Now gentlemen, if you see at this particular block, we have three operations: CTPT operation, relay closing time, and CB operating time. It seems to be a very large time, but actually the modern protection system is so fast that even the operating time comes out to be only a fraction of a second. Only a fraction of a second, I tell you. Okay. We will discuss this later on when we go to the detail of these. Okay. A reset time. It is the time which elapses from the moment the actuating quantity falls below its reset value to the instant when the relay comes back to its normal initial position. As we have a reset value, so it is the reset time. When the relay closes contact and the operating value come below the preset value, then the relay has to open its contact, and this time by at which the relay opens contact is called the reset time of the relay, and it comes to the normal state or normal position. Okay. Yeah. Primary protection. If a fault occurs, it is the duty of the primary protection scheme to clear the fault. It acts as a first line of defense. If it fails, the backup protection clears the fault. Gentlemen, every relay has been assigned a particular portion of a circuit to protect. This particular initial portion of a circuit which the relay has to protect is called the primary circuit or the primary protection scheme of that particular circuit. So whenever fault occurs in that particular section, the relay will have to operate, the relay will take the action. Right? Okay. Now this definition must be connected with the second definition, that is backup protection. The backup protection is designed to clear the fault if the primary protection fails. It acts as a second line of defense. Let's say for any reason the primary protection fails, Then for each primary protection, a backup protection is provided. Then the backup protection comes into action and it clears the fault. So the action of the backup protection is with a slight delay. It just wait for a time. So when it confirms that the primary protection fails, then it come into action and clear up for the point. Okay. Now then overcurrent relay. A relay which operates when the actuating current exceeds certain preset value, that is its pickup value. We have already found the pickup value. So this relay just act or operate on the magnitude of the current. Okay, under voltage relay. This is another relay, a relay which operates when the system voltage falls below a certain preset value. This relay operation is not dependent upon the current, but it depends upon the voltage. Now, this relay operates when the voltage falls below a certain value. You might have seen that in our fridge, we have a small under voltage relay. Whenever the voltage falls below a certain level, that relay operates and disconnect the fridge or the freezer from the supply. Okay. Directional or reverse power relay. This is again very important type of relay. A directional relay is able to detect whether the point of fault lies in the forward or reverse direction with respect to the relay location. It is able to sense the direction of power flow, that is whether the power is flowing in the normal or reverse direction. Now gentlemen, all these relays are located or installed near the bus bar. You know what is bus bar, right? And always the direction of the relay is away from bus bar. I will draw you when I have interaction with you about this lecture, the figure of that particular thing, that its normal direction is away from the bus bar. So if suppose the power is flowing in that particular direction and the fault occur, then this relay has to operate. This type of relay will not operate when the current or the power is flowing in the reverse direction, right? If any relay has such quality, such characteristic, that relay is called directional relay or reverse power relay, that it operates only when the current is flowing in any particular direction or assigned direction of that. If the current or the power is flowing reverse to that, this relay will not respond to that, right? So this is of course called directional relay. Non-directional relay are those relays which operate whenever the fault occur in whenever the fault flow in any direction. This is also the first topic of your course when you come to the chapter relays constructions. Okay. Flag or target. Flag is a device which gives visual indication whether a relay has operated or not. This is actually when engineer is sitting behind the control console, he just have a flag or any indication of any relay, and that particular flag falls, he understand that the relay number plana is being operated. Okay. Time lag relay. Time lag operation after certain time lag. The time lag may be due to its inherent designing feature or may be due to programming of time delay component. Small relay are used in protection scheme as a mean of time discrimination. Just ये small नहीं और लफ्ज़ आया. एक मिनट ज़रा पहले उसको mute कर. Some relays are used in protection scheme as a mean of time discrimination. Now, therefore, in the previous definition, which we define as, of course, first zone operation and, of course, the second zone operation. Now, this relay is actually providing that. Let's say, for example, we define the primary protection and backup protection. So, this time lag relay actually providing the backup protection. If the main protection fails, if the primary protection fails, this time lag means this relay operation is time lag. After some time is spent in the operation of this relay. because this relay actually wait for the main relay to operate. If that relay doesn't operate, then this relay has to operate after a time lag. Okay. Then instantaneous relay. Instantaneous relay is one in which there is no time delay provided intentionally. It operates in zero point 0.1 second. Sometimes the term high set or high speed are also used for the relay which have operating time less than 0.1 second. So this is instantaneous. There is no time. There is no time spent in the operation of this relay, although 0.1 second is time, but this relay is normally called instantaneous relays. Okay. Then of course we have inverse time relays, a relay in which the operating time is independent of the magnitude of the actuating quantity. Now, the operation of this relay, that is, we have two. One is the operation time, and one is the actuating quantities. These two are related. So this relay exhibit an inverse time of characteristic. If the operating values increases, then the operating time will decrease. You see, I will draw a graph for you when we have interaction in that particular session of this. That is, the operating time is inversely proportional to the operating quantities. As the operating quantity increase, with lower operating quantity, with lower current, the operating time will be high. But for higher current, the operating time will be low. Thermal relays, inverse definite minimum time relay. So this is, gentlemen, this is a very important type of relay. It is abbreviated IDMT. It's very popular relay on the protection system, IDMT relay. Inverse definite minimum time relay, a relay which gives an inverse time characteristic at lower value of the operating current and definite time characteristic at higher value of the operating current. At some lower value of the current, the characteristic exhibit is inverse characteristic, as we see in the previous relay, that is inverse relay. But when the current is high, when the operating currents are high, then we have definite time characteristic. Then the operating time does not decrease; it remains constant irrespective of the operating current. Operating current may be any value, but the operating time remains constant. So it is an inverse for some current and then definite for higher current. For low current, it is inverse characteristic, but for higher current, it is definite characteristic. Okay. Thermal, sometimes this thermal is not the main relay, it is actually an auxiliary relay. Mainly these thermal relays are used in USA. Instead of these thermal relays, sometimes the British standard we use Buchholz relays. It is also in your course to see the thermal effect of the current. The thermal effect of the current means the current is not so high to operate the main relay, but it is higher than the normal value. It is not reaching the preset value or the operating value of that, but it causes some thermal effect. So this thermal relay is actually a bimetric strip. So it come this is of course the thermal effect. We have some changes in that particular area or length of that particular strip. So this relay operate, but it is not the main relay. It is an auxiliary type of relay. In our system, as far as I have seen, in some cases they are using thermal relay, but mostly in place of thermal relay, they are using Buchholz relay. Buchholz relay also a thermal effect. It is basically a mechanical relay which we cover in this course, inshallah. Okay. Distance relay. Yeah. In the previous lecture, I have defined distance protection. It is very important protection, very reliable protection for high voltage line. This relay measures the impedance or a component of impedance at the relay location is known as distance relay. The operation of this relay does not depend solely on the magnitude of the current, but it depends upon the impedance. And now you see the impedance is a ratio of two quantities, voltage and current. And furthermore, you see the if it is used for the protection of transmission line, as the impedance of the line is proportional to the length of the line, a relay measures impedance or its component is called distance relay. So it just see the impedance, the relay point just see the impedance right up to its own zone. So since the impedance is of course the ratio of voltage and current, so it actually measures the voltage and it actually measures the current, and the ratio of this is actually is used whether the relay has to operate or the relay has not to operate. This will also be covered in detail. Okay. Now, this distance group of relay, since it is very reliable relay for high voltage, includes the following types: impedance relay, reactance relay, admittance relay, offset mode relay, elliptical relay, quadrangular relays, and many more. These relay are come in this particular group. These are all the relays in this particular groups. Each relay has a different characteristics. Some will be covered in your this course, and some will be covered when you go to the master level of this course. Yeah, protect your zone. A power system is divided into a number of zones from the protection point of view. Each element of the power system has a separate protective scheme for its protection. The elements which come under a protective scheme are said to be in the zone of protection of that particular scheme. Similarly, a protective relay has its own zone of protection. So this zone, we will have a long discussion later on in this particular, but each relay has assigned a particular zone which already defined the previous case. It becomes the primary zone of that, and it has to act in that particular zone. If the fault occurs in that particular zone, that relay will have to take action, otherwise it will not be taken if the fault occurs in any other zone. Okay. Overreach. Now, sometime a relay may operate even when the fault point is beyond its present reach or its protective length. Now, I'll explain this point in this way. Let's say, for example, a relay has been assigned a protective zone, let's say 10 kilometer. 10 kilometer. So when the fault occurs in that particular 10 kilometer, that relay has to operate. This is the zone or this is the reach of that particular relay. Sometime due to some fault, when the fault occurs even beyond 10 kilometer, that relay react. So this type of problem actually it is sort of disturbing its operation. That whenever fault occurs even beyond 10 kilometer, that relay operates. So this is called overreaching problem. Then of course we have underreaching problem. Sometime a relay may fail to operate even when the fault point is within its reach, but it is at the far end of the protective line. This phenomena is called underreach. This sometime occur. Let's say for example, a relay is already again taking the same example that it is 10 kilometer line or 10 kilometer area, that is the primary area, and this relay has to operate when the fault occur in that particular 10 kilometer area. If any fault occur beyond that and if the relay operate, it means it is overreaching problem. But if the fault occur within that particular 10 kilometer and the relay does not respond or the relay does not operate, it means it is an underreaching problem. It is a problem underreaching because the fault is in its own zone, its own area, but it is not responding. So this is underreaching. Okay. Burden. The power consumed by a relay circuitry at the rated current is known as burden. This is of course explained because each relay consumes some power, maybe voltage relay, maybe current relay. So that particular power consumed is called the burden of that particular relay. Okay. The blocking. The prevention of tripping of a relay is called blocking. It may be due to the operation of an additional relay or its own characteristic. Now, gentlemen, this sometimes we intentionally want to block the operation of that particular relay. When we go to the chapter carrier current protection, you will see and that particular sometimes we need to block the operation of that particular relay intentionally, right? So sometimes we do it, or sometimes we have the relay has some uh, its internal characteristic which actually avoid the operation of that particular relay, or sometimes additional relay are being employed to block the operation of any particular relay in some situation, not always, but in some situation, right? So this is blocking. We will explain this point in more detail when we go to that area. Okay, now sometimes this is a normal word which is normally used: protect your gear or equipment. Sometimes we say protect your gear or protect your equipment. So all these components are in this particular equipment, that is CT, PT, and other equipment, that is circuit breaker, fuses, and batteries. All these things come under this particular that is protective gear equipment. Okay. I think the last and but not the least, unit protection and non-unit protection. Uh, Unit protection is that protection which is employed for the protection of only one particular component, which it's normally called a zone of protection. So this type of protection has an absolute discrimination. If zone of protection, its zone of protection is well defined, it does not respond to fault occurring beyond its zone of protection. Example of unit protection is differential protection for alternator, transformer, or bus bar. So any transformer which is protected by different, not all transformers are protected by differential protection. Small transformers or even these distribution transformers are protected by fuses. Some higher transformers are protected by overcurrent, but very high rating transformer, that is in grid station or powerhouses, the main protection is differential protection. Overcurrent protection is used as a backup protection. If the differential protection fails, then the overprotection come into action. So differential protection is basically unit protection. It is only confined to that particular transformer protection. Any line coming to the transformer or any line going out of the transformer, it doesn't matter. Whether fault occur on the outgoing or fault on the incoming line, this protection will not respond. It will respond only when the fault occur within the transformer. So this is very important to note unit protection. Okay. Non-unit protection. A non-unit protection does not have absolute discrimination. It has no area of protection. It has dependent and relative discrimination. This system of protection responds to fault outside its zone of protection. Example is distance protection, time current graded overcurrent protection. Now you see here, let's say for example, in the distance protection we have different zone first, zone 2, zone 3. So if even the fault occur in the second zone of a relay, but the that because for that particular, if the second zone, that second zone will be a first zone for any other particular relay. So let's say for example that relay fails to operate. So then of course this relay who see the fault in the second zone will have to operate. So this is it is not absolute discrimination like the absolute discrimination in case of unit protection. This is no absolute discrimination. It responds to the fault whenever fault occur anywhere on the system. So this is called unit protection. So the whole protection scenario is divided into two types of protection: a unit protection and a non-unit protection. Right? Thank you very much.